It's your boy, Ed the Dread, and you are tuned into the Ed the Dread podcast. Yes, sir. Bow, 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 bow. Aloha Nui Kako. It is Money Mouth Monday, and it is the day before the election. Oh, this is hilarious. I mean, we're here, one day away. What everybody's been stressing about, what everybody's been yelling about, what everybody's been fighting their neighbor about. 2024 presidential election. Woo! Now, me, I ain't voting for nobody. I'm gonna do what I generally do and get rid of this ballot in the best way that I know how. But before we get to that, I'm not gonna big up anyone that's on the front of the ballot. These are all the people you gotta like vote for, put a check box or whatever for them. But on the back of the ballots here are the amendments to either the state constitution or the Maui County Charter. So the first time that I ever voted in Maui County, I read every single thing, just like I do for everything nowadays. I read all the manuals, I read all the terms and conditions, I read all the stuff, right? So I read everything in the whole booth. And after getting through the terms and conditions, after getting through the amendments, there was one that you could read very easily, which I voted on. And then there was another one which you couldn't understand. And it said that if you couldn't understand what these stated, you could ask the proctor for some big printout to get all the information. So I went back out and I asked the proctor guy if I could get the pink printout, and he had no clue what I was talking about. That was like 2 p.m. in Kihei, and the thing had opened at 7 a.m. So a lot of people had gone through there who maybe had a question and possibly not, maybe voted on one of these amendments, maybe didn't, but I'll tell you which amendment I voted on. And then the guy looked at my ballot and told me that the one I voted on was no longer on the ballot. And that was if you had more than one rental property in the county of Maui, for every more than one that you owned, it was a $10,000 tax that would go straight to the Department of Education. I was like, that sounds great. Yes. Again, I took my thing up to the proctor, who was talking on a phone under a sign that said no phones allowed during the test taking activities. So it was just one of those things. So now you don't have to go in on that day. You can mail them in. You can drop box in a ballot box, or you can do what I'm about to do in a moment. But I'm just going to go over these amendments so that if you don't know what's going on out here on Maui, these are a few of the things that are being voted on as far as changes to the state constitution. So the first one is, shall the state constitution be amended to repeal the legislator's authority to reserve marriage to opposite sex couples? So we're voting on same-sex marriage. Number two, shall the Constitution of the state of Hawaii be amended to make the appointment and confirmation process for district court judges the same as the appointment and confirmation process for Supreme Court justices and intermediate court of appeals and circuit court judges, which would require a few things. Not 4 to 6 nominees for vacancy. I'm not reading all those. Those are just ridiculous. I don't even care. I'm not voting on it. Proposed amendments to the Maui County Charter. Shall the charter be amended to require the Salary Commission to determine salaries instead of compensation for elected officials and appointed directors and deputy directors to maintain consistency with the Constitution of the state of Hawaii and remove fiscal barriers to create equity through benefits such as reimbursement of travel costs? What? So these cats want to be reimbursed their travel costs for where y'all? This is crazy. Independent staffing for Board of Ethics. Shall the charter be amended effective July 1st, 2025 to authorize the Board of Ethics of the County of Maui to hire independent staff? Board and commissions terms. Shall the charter be amended effective July 1st, 2025 to minimize the risk of vacancies on boards and commissions generally, and specifically with regard to dedicated seats for members residing in less populous areas by allowing the appointment of members of board and commissions for 2 consecutive full terms or 10 consecutive years, whichever is greater. So extending the board and commissions terms. Again, very important to look on the back of the ballot A few things there that are going to be a little bit different than just your regular voting things. But as far as votes go, I reserve the right to do whatever I want with my ballot. So I am going to do as I always do and partake in one of my favorite activities, being lit by said ballot. So, uh, people fought for the right to vote, and guess what? I got the right to do whatever the fuck I want with this thing. And that was that, baby. You can burn your ballot if you want. Don't worry, I've got a bucket down there, so it's not like my crib's gonna catch on fire, but that was that. Now, in true election form, we're gonna talk about the Electoral College. I believe it was 10th grade that we had US government class, and my government teacher, I don't remember who it was, so whatever, but I remember them stating that the Electoral College is what decided the presidency and not the popular vote. Now, that tripped me out. And I also remember asking the person, uh, like, what the fuck? Is that true? Like, if I go and cast a vote when I turn 18, does my vote not, determine who the president is? And they're like, absolutely not. So then you learn about the Electoral College. If you don't know what the Electoral College is, back in the day, the Forest Fathers, they thought that, they didn't want Congress to choose the president, but they also didn't think that the people would be able to choose the president. And, back then there was no internet. So, like, somebody in North Carolina or something might not know the candidate from Connecticut, and they may have never heard of them or never heard about them. So, they felt as though these electors would be able to do a better job than the popular vote, maybe, but ultimately it was a compromise between, Congress deciding, which was the Senate and the House, or the people who were in the country. And I think there was like less than like, I don't know, between 3 and 4 million people in like the 13 colony things, if I'm correct, right? So that always tripped me out. Again, you go cast this vote and you think that because you've put this vote in that it's like a 1 for 1. Like, now my vote means that I'm choosing this person, and that's actually not the case. 5 times in history it has been proven not to be the case. A few times back in the day in like the 1800s, and then actually twice more recently. So we're going to go into those in just a moment. I'm going to take a few more puffs here off of my ballot blunt. I couldn't let the ballot burn too long because I didn't want to burn my place down. So if I was outside, I would have let that thing roast up. But yeah, we just doing our thing here. All right. So again, 5 times has the person who won the popular vote not won the Electoral College. And the first one was kind of crazy. 1824, Andrew Jackson, John Quincy Adams, Henry Clay, and somebody Crawford, right? These are like the main 4. There wasn't 2, there was main 4. So what ends up happening is like nobody really got the majority of anything. And because of, I believe it's the 12th Amendment, they passed the vote to the House. So the House of Representatives actually voted John Quincy Adams in when he came second place, we'll say, in both the Electoral College and the popular vote. I believe it was Andrew Jackson that he lost to in both of those, but then the House decided that homeboy was to be the president. 1824. The next was 1876. Rutherford B. Hayes versus Samuel Tilden. Yo, these cats' names were freaking ridiculous back in the day. So Hayes, this one was an actual very close one in the Electoral College. I believe Hayes won by 1 vote. It was like 185 to 184. But in the popular vote, he was like 47%, and Tilden had 50%. So close call in both, but I mean, homie didn't win the popular, and he won the Electoral College. All right, this next date has a lot of my favorite number in it. 1888. Ben Harrison versus Grover Cleveland. I'm pretty sure Grover Cleveland was the incumbent, so he was like already the guy who was the president, and he was running again for president. And Ben Harrison beat him out with a lot of electoral votes. He had 288 electoral votes to like 168. And again, Harrison was losing in the popular vote, but that was really close. It was like 47% to 48%. Grover Cleveland, y'all. Some of these cats, I mean, you can't make these names up. Rutherford B. Hayes, John Quincy Adams, Samuel Tilden, Grover Cleveland. Now, the next time that it happened, I was not able to vote yet. Damn. I was close though, but I wasn't able to vote yet. It was in 2000. I was 17, just turned 17. I was all, hey, yo, what's the business? This was George W. Bush versus Al Gore. Huh. Now, Bushy baby, he won the election 271 to 266, but he lost popular vote again by slim margin, like 47 to 48%. And that was 47 for George W. and 48 for Al Gore. Because, you know, W, man, just the things that happened when he was the president. What a nightmare. Okay. Now, getting to the most recent, which I believe some of y'all probably shit the bed about previously, because you're probably shitting the bed about this one right now, and it's a similar type thing. It's your boy Scrump versus a woman running for prez. And this was in 2016 when the Scrumpinator went against the old turn your head when your man's getting head. Hillary Clinton. Now, Trump won the electoral, it was like 306 to 280 something, all right? But he was losing the popular vote by 2%. I happened to watch that over at a friend of mine's house whose parents were really invested in it, and they were like about to cry. And like, I was kind of like, well, the dude just won it. Did anything happen to you right now? And then like, did anything happen when you woke up the next day? It was a whole thing. So there it is, everybody. Ed the Dread's election coverage. Burn your ballot if you want. Click like if you like. Share if you care. Subscribe, baby. And come on back next week for your Ed the Dread podcast. Who we ho, Kako?